Welcome to the 7th episode of the More Than Playing podcast presented by myself, Griffin Dempsey, and my co-host, Jonathan Garner. In today's episode, John and I had the opportunity to interview current club women's lacrosse players, Beth and Lauren. To wrap up the podcast, we interviewed coaches Emily Davis and Allison Marshall. Without further ado, let's get started. Okay, now welcoming on Beth and Lauren. Thank you, ladies, for taking the time to come on tonight.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Anytime. So we'll start off with Beth, you can start it. Tell us your name and your major and why you really chose Grand Valley. Why did Grand Valley pop out of the other schools?
So I'm Beth. My major is clinical exercise science. I chose Grand Valley because I knew they had really good medical programs. And when I came in, I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to major in, but I knew I wanted to do something medical. And I was also just looking at their lacrosse team and everything, and I also saw that they had club, and I knew I wanted to play but not necessarily make the commitment of a varsity team. So that's also why I chose Grand Valley.
Worked out perfect. So when you came to Grand Valley, your main focus wasn't lacrosse. It was more for the medical field and coming to school academically?
Yes.
Are you still going down that path?
Yeah.
How's that treating you? I know that's pretty tough.
Yeah, it's good. I like it. It's definitely a lot of work, but I do enjoy it, so it makes it worth it.
Yeah, it'll be worth it in the long run. Definitely. So, Lauren, you want to share your story, name, major?
Yeah, so I'm Lauren. My major is nursing, and I chose Grand Valley just kind of similar to Beth. I knew they had a really good medical field, and I also wanted to stay in Michigan, but wanted to get a little away from home. And I also did know about the club lacrosse team from my high school coach. So I thought that was a really good opportunity also.
And how's the medical field treating you?
It's going pretty well.
Going good?
Yeah.
Good. Yeah, we're going to cut that part. All right. So let's get back. All right. So we'll just cut that as well. So we'll just talk about lacrosse now. And what made you cut that again. I went blank. Sorry, Bri. I know you're having trouble back there. Sometimes you got to ask something. I'm choking.
All right. So, Beth, you're the club president of the club lacrosse team. So can you explain to us what that means to be the president of a club and the responsibilities that holds?
Yeah, it definitely entails a lot more leadership on the team. I do a lot of communication with the team, letting them know what's going on, where they need to be at what time, how they're getting there, all the little details of things. It's a lot of just filling out forms, working with Bri and everyone, and just making sure things get done on time and run smoothly.
So does that put a little extra toll on you with having your schooling with medical? That's got to be tough. And you got all this extracurricular stuff you have to deal with. How do you manage to, handle all of that, manage your time?
It definitely is a lot to try and balance, but I have a great support system with my team, and they help out a lot and make it a lot easier on me and everything. And I try and get a lot of my homework done during the week, and then on the weekends I try and make sure everything that needs to be done for lacrosse for the next coming weeks is set and done.
Right.
So knowing that this role like has all these responsibilities, like how did this role, like did you get this role? Like is it team-based voting or did you like take on it on your own will?
So I kind of fell into the role in a way. It was team-based voting, and I was actually the vice president of the team. And then I stepped up and took over president when our president needed help.
When did you take over for president? What year is that?
I took over in fall of 2019.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Lauren,
Somewhat
do you
recent.
see yourself taking on this role after Beth graduates?
I don't know. I enjoy, like, I'm in charge of fundraising and I'm fairly new to that, so I'm still like getting in my position on the team, and I do enjoy it. I feel like I'm more a part of the team and have more of a role, but I'm still like, I enjoy fundraising, but I'm still getting used to it and stuff.
So what is the fundraising role? What does that entail?
Pretty much we do like plan like all the fundraisers that we have for their team, so we have like obviously can have money for like equipment, games and stuff like that. And so I plan the fundraisers and then kind of just like inform everybody about them so we can like fundraise and like let everybody know ahead of time, and pretty much, yeah.
So is that pretty easy to deal with everything going on?
Right now it's a little more complicated
Mm-hmm.
Because there's obviously like some fundraisers that we're not able to do right now with COVID.
Right.
But we've had some good fundraisers this year.
So like speaking of COVID, like you just said, how has COVID really impacted your guys' team communicating with everyone and dealing with practice and everything?
It definitely has affected more so our practices, I'd say, with being in the masks and having to social distance more and everything, not necessarily having as much contact in our practices. And we can no longer do like outside events of outside of practice events. So like team dinners or something, which was something we were really passionate about before COVID. Mm-hmm. And I think it helped a lot in the bonding process.
Definitely. Or would you basically say the same thing on how COVID really has just impacted the team bonding wise more so than anything else?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's been a lot harder. Like I feel like last year we had a lot of more like activities and stuff where we did like outside of practice, and it's definitely been hard this year with trying to like be safe about it. But yeah, it's definitely hard to like, especially we had a lot of new freshmen come in, so it's hard to get to know them under the circumstances too.
Mm-hmm. So when you have the freshmen and them come in, how, since obviously freshmen came in this year, how have you guys dealt with meeting them with everything? If you're saying how like team bonding really has taken a toll with COVID, are you guys still making the freshmen feel welcome as they join the team now, or how are you guys doing with that?
Yeah, I would say we've done pretty good of making sure they stay involved and integrating upperclassmen with younger classmen in drills and partner passing and everything. And then something that I've personally tried to do this season has been reach out outside of practice and everything to make sure they're doing well. And if they need anything, they can always come to us and everything.
Just always being there for them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, I feel like our team overall does pretty well with like talking and just being involved with like new players and stuff. And definitely like this season we did more in practices. We're trying to integrate like a variety of like different partners when we have like partner passing and just stuff like that to like make sure everybody's feeling welcome.
So we'll switch it up from there. So obviously the club lacrosse team is very successful. Like in 2019, you guys won the division championship. And then in 18 and 19, you made it to the nationals. So not being able to like compete in games this year and only being able to practice, like how do you guys stay mentally like engaged and build upon for next year to be ready to make a run at nationals?
I would say that it's been hard to not have games and not have necessarily that competitive level of that the games bring, but we've managed to keep up the mentality a lot with just having fun at practices, taking it seriously, but not necessarily like too seriously. Like we can still goof off and have fun, but also get our work done and practice and get better as well.
Yeah, I feel like we've done well this year with like keeping energy up during practices, and like everybody seems to like want to be there. So it's really putting in the effort, which makes it fun. And we've also been integrating a lot more like scrimmages, which are more like game-like, which kind of give us a little bit of a feel of a game.
Mm-hmm. Grand Valley, you guys have always been very successful lately in making a run for nationals and everything. How confident are you that this upcoming season you guys are going to have the same exact outcome? Because I see, Beth, earlier this year, you made a quote saying our goal is to finish top 10 or top 5 at nationals. How confident are you go branch off of that and placing top 5?
I still stand by that quote. I am still pretty confident in our team. We have had this whole year even though we haven't played games, we've had this whole year to mesh and get better as a team. And I think that's only going to help with our team mentality going into next year and hopefully going to nationals.
Lauren, can you second that?
Yeah, I definitely feel like even with the circumstances, like everybody continued to put in the work, and we all stayed in contact over the summer and just like did individual like working on stuff. And I feel like we never really stopped putting in the effort over this.
Perfect. So we'd like to hear it.
Is there any talks of when your guys' next game might be? Is it going to be in the fall, the next spring? Do you have any idea?
We're hoping in the fall, but not necessarily sure.
Most of your seasons are in the fall, correct?
We have fall ball in the fall, but our actual season with nationals and everything is in the spring.
All right. So why do you say fall? Just because you just enjoy the fall?
Well, I'm hoping we have games sooner rather than later.
Yeah. When was the last time that the Grand Valley's club lacrosse team actually competed in a competition?
I think it was before, I would say we had a scrimmage last February before things really. I think we had a pre-season type scrimmage, but we never really actually got to play a game in our spring season.
You guys haven't had much competition play in quite some time then.
It's going to be a year and a half.
Yeah.
That's very, very, very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Too long.
Yeah. Hopefully you guys can handle it just fine though.
Oh yeah.
So, Beth, so you actually had the opportunity to go to nationals in 2019. So, can you talk about that experience and just talk about that experience as a whole, your favorite moments from it? And
yeah, it was an incredible experience. I just loved traveling with the team. It was a long bus ride, but it was fun. It was definitely more of a bonding experience being on a small bus with 25 girls. But we went to Virginia Beach, and being there and just getting to experience a whole different level of play with them and getting to see what we could really do out there and everything. It was an incredible experience, and I'm hoping the rest of the team can get to have that experience.
They will next year.
Yes.
So we're finishing top 5, right?
Yeah.
Oh, top 5, maybe top 3.
Love it.
Just go for one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go for one.
Yeah.
Go big or go home.
Oh yeah.
So you had to travel to to Virginia Beach. Is there any other events that you've had to travel maybe outside of the state to?
With Grand Valley's team?
Yep.
We went to Marquette my freshman year, so 2019 as well. We went to Marquette in Wisconsin. That was our first tournament of the season, and that was also an incredible tournament because we went in as the only D2 school, and the rest were all D1, and we won all our games. And we went in and people said they had never heard of Grand Valley, and we left and they were all like, we know who Grand Valley is now.
Put Grand Valley on the map.
Yes.
Perfect.
Lauren, do you have any traveling experiences, stories that you'd like to share upon?
Not really. I didn't really get the experience of like an actual spring season with Grand Valley, because obviously we got sent home right before, like the week before our first game of the season. But the fall season was definitely a really fun experience, just being able to do like the team car rides to like our scrimmages for the fall and just like bonding that way. And it was definitely a whole new level of like game compared to like high school, just because one thing I love about the Grand Valley lacrosse team is like everybody wants to be there and like just like loves the sport, which is a lot of fun to be around.
So as the traveler, Beth, how often do you guys a year travel? Like how often are you guys leaving the state to go compete somewhere? Is it just the 2 times, 3 times?
During season, I would say about 2 or 3 times. And then with nationals, that's another one. Most of our games are within Michigan, but we do tend to leave the state from time to time.
So what kind of schools do you play against? Like you say that most of your games are in Michigan. So are you playing like Michigan States, Davenports, the Michigans of the world?
Yeah, we play Michigan State, Oakland, Western, Saginaw. Then we play Bowling Green, which they're out of Ohio.
Yep.
I think that's the majority of who's in our conference.
And how do you guys usually fare against them?
We usually do pretty good.
Does playing like a Michigan State kind of make you a little more nervous or kind of tell you?
Yeah, Michigan State is definitely a really tough team to play. They're very aggressive and strong, but we've managed to hold our own, especially the past few years. And we've come close multiple times against them. They're the team. We haven't beat them yet, but it's coming. We've been really close.
Good. Keep them on the watch. Time's coming.
Yes.
Perfect.
So we'll go with your best and favorite memory at like Grand Valley so far with the club lacrosse team. Beth, if you'd like to start with that. Obviously, you've been to nationals, so if you want to use that and talk a little more about that, or you can pick a different memory.
Okay, I would have to say nationals. Just getting to spend all the time with the team there, going to the beach, playing on the fields there. It was beautiful, and the fields were just so nice, and it was so much fun to see other teams that we wouldn't normally see and get to watch games that we wouldn't normally also get to play against or watch, and just watch a whole different level of play and get to experience it. And we really came together as a team when we needed to there and played some of our best lacrosse I think we've ever played, and we placed pretty well there. So
and at national go.
So you're talking about the fields. Do you guys usually play on turf fields or like grass?
We usually play on turf, but in Virginia Beach, it was grass, which isn't usually necessarily better, but they were really nice grass fields.
What do you usually prefer?
I usually prefer turf just because it's smooth and you can kind of guess where the ball is going to go then, whereas on grass with all the divots and everything, it's kind of hard.
I'll take a funky hat.
Mm-hmm.
So are the teams that you compete against at nationals, are they like club teams like Grand Valley's, or are they like a different association?
I believe they're club teams. We play a lot of the D2 schools and everything. So, because we're in the D2 league with them. So.
And then, Lauren, obviously you haven't had the best experience so far with your season getting cut short. Do you have any memories that you'd like to share upon?
Yeah, I feel like my top memory right now would just be like last fall, like our first like even though it was just a scrimmage, it like definitely was a new experience just playing with the team for the first time, and just like the level of intensity and just like being able to like travel and like bond with like the girls of the team was a lot of fun.
Can't beat team bonding.
Cannot. And then to wrap it up, Lauren, we'll start with you. Your advice is probably going to be the best because you've stuck with the team and not had the greatest experience so far. So what would you say to a girl looking to come to Grand Valley next year that wants to join the club lacrosse team? What would you sell them on Grand Valley?
I would just tell them to like stick with it. Like as like honestly, my first practice, like I just felt welcomed right away. All of the girls are very welcoming and you get like bonded right away. And I just feel like you're with a ton of people who have the same passion as you. And it's just like, just bring that level of intensity to every practice, and like it just will make it the best.
I love it. Beth, would your advice be along those lines as being someone that's been here more experiencedly and for a while?
Yeah, I definitely say give it a shot, even if you're not necessarily sure if you want to do it, because in college it can be difficult to find friends that have a similar passion as you. And when you join a sport that you're passionate about, you're going to find those people that are also passionate about it. And those friends, those teammates become your friends throughout those 4 years, who are there for you throughout everything those 4 years. So it's definitely nice to have familiar face throughout all 4 years.
Right. And sisters for life, women's lacrosse.
And it's, yeah. So obviously those experiences come more off. There's great memories off the field is what you're saying. So that would be a great thing to come to Grand Valley and play lacrosse. So we'll wrap it up there. We hope that you guys have a great rest of the year with the practices, and hopefully you guys can get back out on the field next year in the fall. And maybe me and John could get out to a game and watch you guys live in action.
You guys on.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Good luck, guys. Thank you.
Yep. Okay, now welcoming on Coach Emily and Coach Allison. Thanks to both of you for taking the time to join us.
Thanks for having us.
Anytime.
We're going to start off by whoever wants to start by talking about your journey playing here at Grand Valley and now coaching. Emily, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. So I played on the team from 2013 to 2017. Played attack, A-wing. And then kind of coached after that. We got put on the same spot. Al and I joined at the same time. As soon as we graduated, they kind of had an opening for coaching, and we just kind of stepped in and took over together.
Now, when you both got done playing, did you know that you wanted to coach, or has it always been something you wanted to do since you started playing?
Yeah, I think in my last year, I was pretty close with our coach at the time, and I knew that she was thinking about possibly leaving. So we had kind of talked about that transition, and she kind of gave me some pointers along the way. And I knew that I wanted to stay in the sport. I just didn't know in what capacity. But obviously, if you can do it at a college level, you want to do it at the highest level you can. So
exactly.
Yeah.
What would you guys say? You guys have different coaching styles. One is more in charge of the offense, as the other is the defense. How do you guys work with that? And how does that work?
Honestly, with having a team so big, it's kind of easier than you would think. I mean, there's about 10 offenders, 10 defenders. So a lot of times we split things up in practice where defense goes and works on one thing, offense works on something else, and then we switch or whatever. But I mean, we try to do both. I mean, I still work with the defense. Al still works with the offense quite a bit. But just having that role, separating that kind of helps out for people to come talk to us about certain things.
Who's the offensive coordinator between the two of you guys?
Me. I would.
Were you more of a offensive player when you were playing?
Yes. Yeah. So I played offense and Al played defense when we played. So it just made it pretty easy.
So that
to
works
transition.
out perfect.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
Now, for people unfamiliar with lacrosse, is it very an offensive and a defensive, and it's not a combined type game, or is it all the players are involved at all times?
For the most part, it's offensive, defensive, but it's kind of I can compare it to soccer, where sometimes the defender will get stuck on offense or an offender will get stuck on defense, and in the transitional games, kind of like that too. But mostly split offense, defense.
Right.
Now, so we heard like during COVID, obviously COVID's been like a struggle for everybody, and it's been very difficult to get like your players together and stuff. So like what did you guys like find was best to like help the team stay engaged and like just bond during the COVID break?
Al, you want to talk about it?
Yeah, well, it was a learning phase for us too, because obviously we haven't done that before. So we started off kind of using like a Google Doc that the girls can like post on what they're up to and what their week looks like, both like physically, are you exercising, and then like also like mentally, what are you doing with your life? And then we also tried to get together for like Zoom workouts and Zoom meetings and those sort of things, kind of keep everybody together and see what everyone's up to.
Is it still going on like that? You guys still like, have you guys been in contact, or is it still all over the internet?
We've been practicing since we started our kind of normal practice in January, back to in person. I mean, obviously at first it was socially distant, and now it's kind of gotten more normal. But yeah, the Zoom stuff is hard, getting kids to come out and be a part of that. I mean, when they're so obviously emotionally invested in everything, it was definitely difficult to keep the team together. But I mean, it worked for the time being.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's a mentally toll on the person's body, just overall, just how did that transaction from going from normal for your whole life, then all of a sudden you get a whole 6 months of just no human interaction really. And yeah, that's tough.
So how has like practices, like are practices like affected like the way they were before, and now like is there things you can't do and can do?
Up to this, I mean, now it's pretty much back to normal. We can pretty much do everything. I mean, there's basically, in the women's game, there's a lot less contact than in the men's game. So we're able to kind of get away with more fleeting contact and not so much direct contact over and over again. So we're pretty much practicing like normal now, which is good. Before, obviously, it's hard to practice 6 feet apart from each other. A little bit easier in our sport because you can pass the ball, but definitely not easy to practice like a normal scrimmage type that we would normally have at practices.
Right.
Segue in. So both of you, like when you were both like athletes here, you guys were a part of the first conference championship team and you qualified for nationals. So like, can you tell us a little bit about that experience when you were on your national trip?
Yeah, it definitely. So that was my senior year and Al's junior year. It was something that we felt like was a long time coming. We'd never won our conference, but we had been invited to nationals before, and we just never had the money to go. It was just something that we never really planned for in season. So it was kind of like an agreement that, if we could win this conference, we could potentially hold our own at nationals. If we could raise the money in time and go, that we were going to do it. And I think that we knew immediately when we won that conference championship, we were going to make it to nationals no matter what we had to do to get there. I mean, it was an awesome feeling, and everyone on the team worked so hard. I think we had like a fundraising campaign. We raised $5,000 in 5 days, and I think we did it in like 3.5 days. So wow, it was really, really cool to see the team come together like that.
And that's the misconception with club sports is most people think that you qualify for nationals and it's all paid for. Or you pay that a little price at the beginning of the year, but you guys had to work for that. So when you both were playing, like, was a lot of your teammates like not experienced in lacrosse, have a few years, and now it's like you're getting girls that have played like their whole life?
Yeah, when we played, I think that we were two of the more experienced and had played all through high school. And that was pretty uncommon. We had girls that either had not played or had 2-3 years of experience. And now we have girls that have 8, 9, 10, 11 years of experience coming on, which is incredible. I mean, it wasn't, even when we were in high school, it wasn't that popular of a sport either around this area. So it's had more time to grow since we were on the team.
Right. I mean, that's what I was going to ask is when you were in high school, did you come to Grand Valley for like lacrosse, or did you come on an academic style and then saw that this opportunity was there and you took it and ran with it?
So I came here academically, and I knew that they had a good lacrosse team. I knew that they had a varsity team, but I knew I was not good enough to play on the varsity team. But I found out about the club team through other people freshman year, and that's kind of how I just discovered it and joined it that way.
Right. I kind of just knew that I wanted to go to Grand Valley, knew that I wanted to continue lacrosse. Did not know they had a club team, but found it and was very happy doing that.
How How many people are on the roster?
Currently 26, I think, right now. In a normal spring season, we try to take 25 because that's about hotel-wise, travel-wise, what we can afford to bring with us.
Right.
And how many are on the field at once?
11 plus a goalie, so 12 total.
12.
Now, what advice would you have for maybe like a girl coming to Grand Valley next year that has like experience in lacrosse? Like, what would you say to her on maybe joining the club?
Why Grand Valley?
Maybe don't take it so seriously. I know we get a lot of new girls that come in, and depending on how their high school was run, sometimes you kind of got to like fight for playing time. So to like make sure that you're just like getting to know your teammates, because that was one of my favorite parts of the team is like getting through all those friendships and things. So remember that like a club team, we do take it seriously because we want to go far places, but to remember to like have fun and you're here because you love the sport, and also that you're a student first. So make sure to like find your balance in life when you're joining clubs and things in college. I think that can be kind of hard to do coming in as a freshman because high school kind of plans that out for you, and your freshman year is kind of the first time you're doing that on your own.
If you both could share like your number one memory as a player and your number one memory so far as a coach.
My number one memory as a player, I definitely think was going to nationals. Seeing that as a senior that we've actually got to do that. That was the one thing I wanted to accomplish here, was take them somewhere they'd never gone before. And doing that was just such a great time. I mean, we had so much fun. It was out of the state, we were in a beautiful place playing, and just seeing all like how great every other team in the country was just really, really cool. Best as a coach, I'm going to be very careful. When we went to nationals, the last time we were able to go, so 2 seasons ago, we were playing another very, very good team, and it was tied for most of the game. And we had a girl or a couple of yellow cards, so we had a couple of girls sitting out. And we had thought that we would have to play a man down for the rest of overtime. And that we had both addressed it with the table a few times to make sure we were following the rules right. And so we knew we were going to play man down, and we were just going to do the best that we could to try to pull out a win. And we played man down for probably 4 minutes. And then the table came running over and said, hey, we messed up. You weren't supposed to be playing man down this entire time. And then the other team scored and won the game. And so we, as coaches, went and argued with the refs, and just we talked with them and just said, we don't think this is fair. We should have had a chance here. It really messed up our game. And ended up, we kept the girls' spirits really high, and they ended up giving us another chance to redo the overtime, and then we won the game. And it was just an incredible feeling of like coaching accomplishment of like, we got the team to where they needed to be successful.
What year was that?
That was 2019. So the last time we were at nationals, we were in Virginia Beach. It was very cool.
Was that to stay alive in the tournament?
Yes. Well, so they play a tournament play. And we were either playing for 8th place or for 6th place. So it was a big deal, definitely.
Right. Allison, what would you say your favorite memory is as a
they're kind of the same, so I'm going to try to pick different things. My favorite experience as a player besides going to nationals was probably my first faraway trip, which was to St. Louis. And it was like my first weekend away, and I never really got to do that in high school. Is like I didn't get to be on a travel league because I worked a lot. So it was like my first experience traveling and doing something that I love, and I just got to really bond with like the group of new people that I came in with as a freshman. It was just a really great experience overall. And I had never been anywhere else and played other teams for lacrosse, and things change quite a bit depending on where you're going, and that's just kind of a unique thing to see. My favorite experience as a coach that's not nationals, because that pretty much trumps all, would probably be when you see a player come in and find like their new voice on the team. Because when you come from a high school team, you're kind of just like part of a pack. And something happens in college when you play on a club team and you have to like find your own voice, find something that you're really good at, whether that's like behind the back passes, just something, and seeing them get like super excited about it is one of my favorite coaching experiences. Like recently we had gotten a new goalie who had never played lacrosse, and she played soccer, and watching her grow into a goalie for lacrosse has been one of my favorite experiences.
Right. You can't beat that.
Seeing her get excited about her own accomplishments is just so great.
Mhm.
And as a coach, seeing a player develop like that is probably just feels great.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Seeing them find something that they love in a sport that they already know is just lovely.
And
Mhm.
making leaps immediately. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how has like your education experience like influenced like getting into coaching, and is there like any like benefits and disadvantages to your career to now coaching?
So I did my degree is in athletic training. I got it at Grand Valley. So I think that already having that background with sports and the knowledge of that was very helpful. And when my girls get injured, I know how to take care of them and when to manage what they need to do. So I think that helps. Obviously, Al and I both work a full-time job on top of this, which definitely takes a lot to do. So I think that having the responsibilities that we do outside of the team helps us with the team. You know, we can bring in those time management skills and the studying and all that we've already been through and bring it to the girls to help them out.
Well, I got a degree in psychology and Spanish through GVSU. And right now I work as a behavioral technician. I do therapy with children with autism. And I got my skills for coaching are less related to my professional field, but more along the lines of like I can aid them in other areas of like managing time and those sort of things, and just managing groups I've carried over. But a lot of it has come from like things I've learned from previous coaches and just like my love for lacrosse and finding ways to educate myself in that area in other ways. And I think me and Emily just kind of like learn a lot from each other along the way.
Well, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks to both of you again for joining, and we're looking forward to hearing about your success next season and having you guys back on the podcast.
Good luck.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks so much for having me.
Mhm.
And that concludes our interview with Beth, Lauren, and coaches Emily and Allison of the women's club lacrosse team. Join us next week as we will be interviewing players from the women's hockey team. Also, don't forget that it is more than playing and to be better.
Peace.